Hello, how are you? To be or not to be human? Although the pandemic has hit us hard, although it's crippled our economic systems, although it's swamped healthcare, and although it's inhibited social interaction even within close families, it has caused a fundamental change in behaviour that can liberate human potential to transform the way we live to become more wholesome, natural and positive. Over the past few weeks, a behaviour change has occurred that can take years. It is clear that we have adapted amazingly quickly to the threat of community spread, and it appears that we are now rejuvenating our systems with more responsibility and concern for our communities. The first thing we noticed back in March was that people started thinking for themselves. This might seem strange to say, but it's clear that we used to look for rules to follow all the time to save us having to think. We are trained to do that at home. Be a good boy and do what I say. And at school, repeat after me. Then in our job, we'd better wear the right uniform and share the same jokes, or we won't be accepted. But now, with our lives on the line, we have decided to inform ourselves and protect ourselves. Simply the knowledge that a pandemic was spreading was enough to keep many of us at home. And we ran to get toilet paper. But it wasn't so much the TP disappearing that fascinated me, but the fact that proper food stocked out while all the sweets and soda was left on the shelves. We stopped listening to the ads and started thinking for ourselves. Over the past couple of months, a study of about 2,500 people was conducted by the Barrett Values Centre. Many thanks to Phil Clothier and the Barrett Values Centre for their research and for their amazing work to help people and organisations liberate their potential. You can find out about them at valuescentre.com. The centre is UK spelling, RE at the end. Although the survey that they did doesn't represent a full spectrum of global demographics, it's a fairly representative of the majority of populations in Western democracies. The survey examined what people want, what our priorities are. It focuses on underlying values, which are the root drivers of behaviours. And the survey found that there have been fundamental value shifts and a consequent change in behaviour. The new priorities during the COVID-19 crisis lockdown include wanting to make a difference, adaptability, and prioritising well-being. What's more interesting is that there's been a shift in what is important, or the individual values exhibited, away from honesty, respect, trust, and integrity. Now, I don't think we've degraded the importance of honesty, respect, trust, and integrity, but I think we've just realised that the system is not delivering them, and so we've taken responsibility for them ourselves. We've shifted our values from relying on others to think for us, whether that be government, employer, or advertiser, to thinking for ourselves. These observations and the data from the survey tell us that people have quickly changed behaviour in three main ways. We're thinking for ourselves, we're taking more responsibility for ourselves, and we're helping others. Just like the bees, altruism is flourishing. Organisations have also shifted priorities. As stakeholders' priorities have changed, organisations, including government and corporations, have shifted from command and control hierarchy objectives to shared objectives and shared responsibility. This is excellent. We're letting go of the base desires and fears, often encapsulated in simple one-dimensional mantras like profit at all costs and annihilate the competition. We are moving to more sophisticated means or ways of behaving, like collaboration and serving others. During the lockdown, a huge majority of people have come face to face with themselves and chose to let go of base fears, like fear of losing your job, and base desires, like being rich or having more than enough, far more than enough, that had been holding them back from living and enjoying life. For 5/8 of humanity, that's more than half, these basic fears and desires should not matter. It's true that for 3 billion people who are living close to the breadline, fear of hunger or homelessness is real. But for the rest of us, we live in a rich world economies whose resource consumption is more than enough to satisfy everybody's needs if it was more equitably distributed, or shared, let me say, if it was more equitably shared among ourselves. Now we're being forced to share more equitably because even the super rich are in lockdown. Right now is an important point in human emergence because the lockdown is being lifted and there's a large vocal minority, not a majority, but they're large and they're vocal minority of people who are pushing for a permissive attitude to the pandemic and want to return to normal. Well, there will be no return to normal. The system is broken. Global economies are bankrupt. The debt cannot be repaid. I must say, the cover-up is admirable, but we need a new way of doing things. If not, we will regress rather than progress. The same system is not going to serve the future. That is evident. There is no return to normal. We hope a natural emergence from a primitive hierarchical systems continues and people continue to seek personal and shared responsibility for themselves and their communities. This will quickly flatten hierarchies, distribute responsibility, and liberate many people from undignified situations. On the personal front, right now, we should be considering who is in our bubble, i.e., who are the 150 people with whom we're going to limit our interactions. And we should be thinking, what protocols should we observe for social interactions? How far apart? What should we wear? What washing should we do? And so on. I definitely want to see my mum and dad and give them a big hug. But to do that, the three of us are going to have to face the risk of transmission and the possible consequence of death. So, they're in my bubble. We just have to consider the way we're going to come together and the costs that we might incur. On the organizational front, employee engagement is going to have to increase massively and fast because people want personal responsibility and shared responsibility. This will be most difficult for large organizations, but it can be managed quickly and healthily if collaborative values drive the process. I hope you will help catalyze a transition to a more natural world, a more natural humanity. It's going to be amazing. Thank you.